Can we talk about Kagurabachi? At first I did not see what the hype was about for this manga. Reading it on its first official chapter release because of all the memes. Getting to Chihiro versus Sojo and just thinking like this manga won't be the next big thing. It took me about 30 chapters to finally realize that this hype is very much justified. And catching up to chapter 44, I could say I'm definitely on the hype train for Kagurabachi, and I'm currently fiending for the next chapter. My first impression was that Kagurabachi was a typical revenge plot with the main character being nothing but a source of anger because of what happened to him, and his motivation is only to get back at the people who did him wrong. But slowly I realized that while Chihiro's main focus Chihiro's main focus is revenge and collecting the 7 swords, he's not so blinded, or the author does not make his character so blinded to the fact that he's only just revenge. Chihiro has a big heart, and honestly we can see that from the very beginning with Char. And Char is just a little girl, but her power is like she can regenerate her own limbs on some X-Men type shit, and she also has the capabilities to heal others. And people want her to experiment on her body, you know, just like how they do every mutant in any story where people have like weird stuff going on with their bodies. And Chihiro has no obligation to save this little girl, but he does. And the seeds for Chihiro to be one of the best MCs in New Gen Shonen has been planted at that very moment. And it honestly gets better from this point going forward. Even though I just said it took me about 30 chapters to finally realize what was going on. You all are not like me, and I highly recommend this manga to you. And when JJK ends, this might be my go-to. What really drew me into this series was the Raikuzaichi, I don't know if I'm saying that right, the Rakuzaichi auction with the Sazanami family and the 6th Enchanted Blade. Even though I literally just got done reading chapter 44 before making this video, I am very bad with character names, so please bear with me. I really like the way we get introduced to one of the supporting characters for this arc. It's one of the 4 sons of the Sazanami family. It is the weakest son, and I did accurately predict that this son would be the, you know, the typical shonen trope where I'm the weakest in the family, I get bullied, but I'm secretly the hidden potential genius. This is that character, and I was quick to throw this character to the side as nothing important because I've seen this trope done plenty of times before. The way the author portrays this family struggle between the youngest son and the Sazanami family really made me have a deeper feeling and connection for this character in general. And we learn that after this arc, he is going to be one of the supporting characters that sticks with us. And for him to play a big role in the Rakuzachi action arc, it's almost a shame that I don't remember his name at the moment. Which leads me to talk about the supporting cast. Kagurabachi has such great side characters, and Kagurabachi makes me feel very invested in these side characters because 1, they either have some kind of importance to the main character, and 2, they have depth to them and they're not just side characters placed on screen. Like my personal favorite character, Shiba. Shiba is the definition of a badass character written right. He's the de facto dad of the group. He makes sure everything runs smoothly, and he can also throw hands. His ability is also teleportation. He gets really creative with it, allowing him to fight 3 of the Sazanami family members at once, and even going toe to toe with one after they gained the power equivalent to an enchanted blade. Now these enchanted blades are no fucking joke. Going toe to toe with an enchanted blade without having an enchanted blade is basically suicide. These weapons are so strong that if you don't have one yourself and you're forced to sorcery, or if you're not an elite sorcerer yourself, you have to jump this man. We seen it in the Sojo arc. Sojo was getting jumped, and he is someone who just started wielding an enchanted blade, being Cloud Gouger. The fact that he was able to take on at least 4 sorcerers and kill them all, by the way, while not possessing Cloud Gouger than more than I guess like 3 or 4 months, is insane. And sorcery is something that these people have trained pretty much their entire lives to use. Let's talk about these enchanted blades too. Sorry, this video is literally all over the place. It's no script. I literally just got done reading the last chapter and just thought I have to make a video. Okay, The main character, Chihiro, wields the seventh enchanted blade, being N10, and I'm gonna have to do a reread of this to make sure that I'm getting everything correct. And this blade has multiple abilities, pretty much like all of the blades have, but this one is more focused on like a fish theme, I guess, with the goldfishes that Chihiro's dad had when he was younger. Then we got Cloud Gouger, and Cloud Gouger basically is like what it says, just can summon different abilities, like one being lightning and also ice. And I'm honestly mad and at the same time glad that Cloud Gouger broke, because it shows that there is a limit to these swords and they're not just this unstoppable object. But this last sword that we just seen in chapter 44, the Shinoichi, this sword just blows all the other swords out of the water. This sword was being remote control used. Also, while not being drawn, was able to keep up with Chihiro's N10. Granted, this is a Chihiro that is completely exhausted and has been fighting and using most of his abilities this entire auction, and Flame Bone at the same time. From the looks of Shinoichi, it creates like this flower garden that if it touches you, you're basically done. And I'm sure the Shinoichi does this based off of what the blade touches, because we've seen like it creates these like puddles, and I guess the black liquid hits the ground. Wherever it hits, it spreads a garden. It also has a butterfly attack and a centipede attack. And this isn't even the full strength of the sword, as the sword, I'm gonna say it again, was not drawn. Now I see why Chihiro wants to gather these swords so badly, because if a sword like this exists and gets into the wrong hands, it is pretty much over with the entire world. In this next arc, being the Kamunabi arc, we're gonna get more information on this mysterious group who I guess controls sorcery and is the de facto government for this world, with Chihiro joining the Kamunabi. And this is an attempt to figure out why the Kamunabi want the Shinoichi so bad, because another group also wants that blade, and the blade was being sold in the auction on purpose by that group for the Kamunabi to buy it. So we might be saying something interesting, because while the Shinoichi was being controlled remotely, we know nothing about the user that the Shinoichi has a pact with, and the way he was using this blade makes me think that he's a serious threat. Speaking of the Kamunabi, Hayuki, or however you say her name, is a badass female character done right. From her introduction, I loved her immediately, and her sidekick, or like the person who's tied to her, being Tafuku. They make for a good dynamic between someone who's very serious and someone who's just like more laid back, or I guess would be the like de facto like fat character that's funny. And not funny because he's forcing it, but just funny because he's just naturally funny. And they're showing they work so well together. Being Tafuku, his power is basically like making a domain and trapping Hayuki and her opponent inside of the domain, just like he did when Hayuki first met Chihiro. And her goal is to kill Chihiro and get the enchanted blade. But to see them put that all aside to fight the Sazanami family head was peak fiction. Oh lord, this video is literally all over the place and it's probably just ranting. A bunch of otaku talks yapping. But after finishing chapter 44, I needed to glaze this series. And I wish I was joking, but this is peak fiction. Okay, now seriously, go read Kagurabachi. We are 44 chapters in, and it is only getting better with every chapter. And this is coming from somebody who was not on the hype. While yes, I did start reading from chapter 1's official release date, I got to chapter 14 and said, yes, this story is mid. Then I told somebody I'd give it a chance and read until I catch up. And I am glad that I caught up, because I am fiending for the next chapter. All this yapping just to say go read Kagurabachi. It is worth it. And now it's your time to claim the I was here before ticket. I'm definitely claiming mine, because when this gets to like chapter 200, I could definitely say I was one of the few people who started reading it before chapter 50. With that being said, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you made it this far into the video, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Or not, you don't really have to, but it will help out a lot. It has been Otaku Talks.